Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the State of Downtown Pittsburgh, Day 2. I'm Jeremy Waldrop, President and CEO of the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership. Thank you for joining us this morning. We are excited to bring to you the fourth in a series of 6 important discussions as we envision the future of downtown Pittsburgh and review the impact of an unprecedented year. Yesterday, we released the 2021 State of Downtown Pittsburgh report, which I encourage you to check out online and on our website. We'll be sending you a link after this session. Today, we're talking about welcoming visitors back to downtown. Anybody who's visited downtown lately knows that we're missing visitors. And while we're starting to see more folks on our sidewalks, we cannot wait until we see full hotels, packed theaters, and those busy sidewalks that we're known for. In yesterday's session about retail and restaurants, that industry is severely missing, folks, because with the office workers, many still working from home, those visitors are critical to their success. I'd now like to introduce Caitlin Fadgen. She's Senior Manager of Economic Development here at the Downtown Partnership. Caitlin's responsible for compiling the 2021 State of Downtown Pittsburgh report. She's going to walk us through some of the metrics that we look at as an organization and at the tourism industry, and then get us off to our panel discussion. Thanks again for joining us, and please welcome Caitlin.
Thanks, Jeremy. Hello, everyone, and good morning. Thank you for joining us today. Before we dive in, I'm going to quickly give a rundown of what to expect, what we'll be covering in the next hour in our discussion about welcoming visitors back to downtown. First, I'm going to provide a quick recap of what happened in 2020 with regards to the hospitality industry. Then I'll be introducing our moderator, who will guide us through a panel discussion with 4 local experts who will provide their perspective on what lies ahead for the industry. We'll leave some time at the end for some Q&As, so know that you'll have the opportunity to submit your own questions as part of this session. So let's dive right in. It is no surprise that the hospitality industry was one of the hardest hit economic sectors impacted by the pandemic. In fact, the hotel industry experienced its most devastating year on record in 2020, resulting in historically low occupancy, massive job loss, and hotel closures across the country. Allegheny County's tourism industry lost close to 25,000 jobs by the end of 2020, according to a study by Tourism Economics. Greater Downtown's hotel occupancy plummeted to just 5% in April 2020 at its lowest point. Compared to the county as a whole, the downtown hotel market had a much softer performance in 2020. The total number of occupied rooms in downtown was down about 62% compared to 2019 numbers. And broadly speaking, budget and economy properties geared towards leisure travelers fared much better than upscale urban and luxury properties that are commonly equipped with large areas for meetings, event space, and ballrooms, all tailored for business travel and conferences. Fortunately, we're starting to see some encouraging signs. Hotel occupancy has been rebounding downtown and throughout the county, reaching above 70% downtown recently, thanks in part to sporting events and other events held at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. Today, Greater Downtown offers more than 6,400 guest rooms to visitors and business professionals, with another 219 rooms in the pipeline. Currently under construction is the Landing Hotel Pittsburgh, which will connect to the Rivers Casino on the North Shore. Recently, we saw the grand opening of the Industrious Hotel on Wood Street just last week, adding an additional 124 more rooms into the Golden Triangle. Throughout the pandemic, consumer confidence has ebbed and flowed, along with associated COVID-19 case counts, hospitalization numbers, and constantly changing reopening guidelines. With the vaccine rollout, the American Hotel Lodging and Association estimates that travel is not expected to return until 2019 levels until at least 2023. While the pandemic is not over, it does appear that we may have turned the page. Earlier this month, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf said nearly all COVID-19 mitigation orders except for masking, will be lifted effective Memorial Day. This means no more capacity restrictions in restaurants, bars, and indoor and outdoor gatherings, which is an encouraging sign of normalcy that I know we are all anxious to get back to. Before I introduce our moderator, I just want to reiterate to the audience that you can submit questions for panelists by using the Q&A button found at the bottom of your screen. At the end of the session, we'll try to answer as many questions as time allows. For the remainder of the session, I'm going to turn the floor over to Jared Bocker, President and CEO of Visit Pittsburgh. Jared has nearly 30 years of tourism and economic development experience in an array of countries and business environments. He has worked and developed in emerging markets in areas of destination branding and marketing, economic development and diversification, and workforce development. With that, Jared, I'm going to hand the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Caitlin. It is an honor to be with everyone today. I do want to also quickly call out the work that the PDP has been doing over the last year. Jeremy, you and your team, of course, do so much for our downtown business community, but your leadership in community development over the last 14 months has been exemplary. And I just wanted to quickly say thank you so much for your work, and certainly know that Visit Pittsburgh and all of our panelists today, we're all very thankful to be part of your broader community, and we're looking forward to continuing that effort, certainly as we go through the summer and welcoming warmer and better days ahead. Now, I certainly do not need to tell anybody on this call today or on this session today how devastated the travel economy has been in Allegheny County, certainly the downtown area, over the last 14 months. Caitlin has clearly called out some of the numbers, that have shown the impact of the lack of travelers coming into our region, and that is going to continue for the next few months. As Caitlin also mentioned, it's going to take some of our areas, some parts of our tourism economy even longer to come back, going as far as 2 to 3 years down the road. And we're going to certainly keep an eye on that. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. But I do want to create kind of an understanding of really what's at risk when we're talking about the travel economy, specifically in Allegheny County. We get a lot of statistics from the state of Pennsylvania, from the DECD, including the size of our travel economy. The direct spend from travel in Allegheny County every year pre-COVID reached $6.5 billion in 2019. That number also supported close to 44,000 jobs across the county. Those, of course, Caitlin had also mentioned, quite a few of those have been lost, eliminated, and there's a lot of travel or a lot of struggle that our business partners are starting to experience now on trying to get some of those workers back into the workforce, and I'm sure we'll touch on that a little bit today as well. The travel economy, that $6.5 billion, is the result of visitation from over 33 million people per year that come into Allegheny County for travel purposes. A lot of those people, of course, come to the downtown central business district for a variety of reasons, whether it's to go to one of our major league sports events, to attend a conference or a trade show at the convention center, to go to one of our many theaters, and certainly lots of other experiences. But those 33 million people are so impactful on our regional economy every single year that we're really excited to start working to get them back. Now, the last year was devastating. There's no doubt about that, but there is a lot of reasons to be optimistic about looking forward. We are starting to see some green shoots, some opportunities of growth across all of our tourism verticals. And in Allegheny County, those tourism verticals really include 3 different types of tourism. There's business tourism, which will probably be the last to recover. And those are people who are coming to the region for business purposes, including attending a convention or trade show at the convention center or one of our hotels. The second, of course, is sports tourism, and those are the variety of sports events that we host here, including NCAA championships, amateur and youth sports, and lots of other competition. And leisure tourism, people who are coming to watch a baseball game or go to a hockey game or a football game, or to come to our theaters, ride on our Gateway Clipper fleet, go to one of our museums or attractions, and really experience all that we have to offer them from a leisure standpoint. So who better to discuss the recovery and a little bit about what we looked at last year than the panel that we have with us today. I am so excited to have this conversation today with these partners who we work with constantly throughout the year and really talk about what it is that we're looking at as we move forward. What I'm going to do is to introduce each one of these individuals first, and then we're going to dive into some of the questions. As Caitlin had mentioned, please be part of this conversation. We want you to ask your questions, provide your feedback and comments in the chat function. We'd really love to hear from you as we go throughout this discussion today. So I will ask all of our panelists to please turn on their cameras as I go through this introduction. And I'm going to kick off first with an introduction to Sarah Aziz. Sarah Aziz will be known to many of you, and she's the Director of Festival Management at the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust. She leads the Dollar Bank Three Rivers Arts Festival, the Highmark First Night Pittsburgh, and many other projects, of course, throughout the district. Sarah grew up in Sewickley, graduated from Quaker Valley High School, and went on to attend Mount Holyoke College in South Hadley, Massachusetts. She lived in New York City for many years, working for the Theater Development Fund and their accessibility programs, and managed initiatives, including the launch of autism-friendly performances for Broadway shows. Sarah moved back to the area in 2015 after joining the team at the Trust. She lives in Sewickley again with her husband and 3 sons, just 2 blocks from her parents' house. That's very Pittsburgh, Sarah. Next up is Mariah C. Kaminsky, who is the Artistic Director of the Pittsburgh Public Theater, where she co-leads that organization with Managing Director Lou Castelli. She came to Pittsburgh after 4 years as the Associate Director at the Seattle Repertory Theater. One of the highlights of her tenure there was spearheading a collaboration with New York's Public Theater and the Dallas Theater Center to create Public Works Seattle. That initiative, of course, was based on long-term authentic partnerships between regional theaters and local nonprofits, and was designed to create theater of, by, and for the people. She worked as a director, writer, producer, and actor, and is a proud member of the Stage Directors and Choreographers Society, the Actors Equity Association, and the Society of Authors and Dramatic Composers. In addition to a myriad of awards, Mariah holds a BA in English and Theater Arts from the University of Pennsylvania and an MFA from the University of Washington School of Drama. Next is Tim Muldoon, the General Manager of the David L. Lawrence Convention Center, which is managed by ASM Global. With over 25 years of experience in the event management industry, Tim has developed a unique insight into the inner workings of this fast-paced, ever-changing field of events. This experience, of course, has provided him the knowledge to lead the David L. Lawrence Convention Center through this critical period of recovery, which is taking place throughout the hospitality industry. It's through Tim's leadership and guidance that our convention center continues to be nationally recognized as a trailblazer in sustainable design and building and event operations, resulting in the center being awarded both gold and platinum LEED certifications. The center, of course, is well known for its sustainable practices of water conservation, energy reduction, improved air quality, which is more important today than ever before, and of course, an aggressive strategy in reuse, repurpose, and recycle. And then finally, David Shear, the esteemed general manager of the Fairmont Pittsburgh Hotel downtown. David began his hospitality career in 1997 at the Millennium Broadway and the Millennium Conference Center in New York. In June of 1998, David joined the Riga Royal Hotel in New York, and in November 2001, he was appointed general manager of the Olive Leaf Restaurant at the Sheraton Hotel and Towers in beautiful Tel Aviv. In December 2002, David relocated to Toronto, Canada with Intercontinental Hotels. David later on joined Simply Zoop in Toronto in October of 2007 as a concept director before joining the Rosewater Room Toronto as general manager. In November 2010, David joined Fairmont Hotels, working at the beautiful Fairmont Chateau Laurier, Fairmont Chicago, Fairmont Dallas, before settling in Pittsburgh as the general manager of our Fairmont in 2020. It's an incredible time to take over as the general manager of a hotel, David. David holds a degree from Institut Hotelier, Cesar Ritz colleges in Switzerland in international hotel management. He also has participated in ESSEC Business School and Accor International Hotel Programs or Hotel Management Programs. Wow. So we have a lot of talent and perspective joining us today, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So we're going to kick off with the first question, which is, it relates to anyway, the ever-changing restrictions that our community continues to face. We have great news, obviously, effective May 31st, Memorial Day, and hopefully a few days sooner if legislation goes through, that restrictions will no longer be in place, except for, of course, the mask mandates, which hopefully we will all continue to abide by. We are going to see those restrictions ease a little bit before that, with capacities for indoor and outdoor events increase happening next week. So we're certainly excited to see this progress being made when it comes to restrictions. But whenever these changes happen, everything in our world gets turned upside down. And everybody on this panel certainly has lived that, certainly throughout the last year and certainly within the last couple of weeks. So let's go around the table. We'll start with Sarah, then Mariah, and then Tim and David if we can. Sarah, what has happened? What has been your experience with the ease of restrictions? What is your outlook moving forward?
Yeah, thanks, Jared. I want to say thanks for having me on the panel. This is great. I'm so happy to be part of this discussion. We were so excited to hear about the restrictions being lifted as of Memorial Day. I think that announcement just came out last week. It's been a bit of a whirlwind since then. We really weren't expecting it. You know, we had been preparing for the Dollar Bank Three Rivers Arts Festival to be a hybrid festival, which it still will be, but we had been planning for it to be all in the cultural district, everything gated, timed entry tickets, really, you know, monitoring capacity, monitoring, you know, social distancing, all of those kinds of things. And so when we found out that that wasn't going to be a requirement anymore, it definitely changed our plans. And so we have shifted. We are really excited that we'll be able to be back in Point State Park, not for the full 10 days of the festival, but for both weekends, the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Of both weekends, and those concerts that we had been planning in the Biome Theater will move to the Dollar Bank main stage in Point State Park. So we're so excited to do that, to bring live music back to, you know, thousands of people. And hopefully our theaters are quickly behind, you know, opening. We joke at the Trust that we've come really close to reopening. You know, we've got our practice down pat. We've got a handbook. It's really extensive. I think we're on version 16 because there's been so many changes since we started writing it. But, you know, we've got such a great team. People have, you know, remained really flexible and nimble, and, you know, we're trying to keep up and trying to get people back to downtown as soon as we can.
And we're thrilled to see it for sure. Mariah, what's your take on the ever-changing landscape of restrictions?
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Jared. Good morning, everyone. It's good to be here. Well, excited to answer this question. Like all of us, we have received a lot of unexpected news over the last 14 months. This by far is the best of the unexpected news we've received. And it definitely has cleared the path for our biggest challenge to getting back to business. And what it's allowed us to do is accelerate our conversations with our unions, with our consultants, with our peer organizations about how to sort of craft together a thoughtful, consistent, thorough plan to getting back and getting audiences back into the O'Reilly. I will say, you know, there has been a lot of pivots in this last year. I know that's one of everybody's favorite words, and how we have tried to navigate those pivots is using the guiding values of innovation and austerity. And I am so grateful that now we can apply those values, we can start to pivot back. So this has accelerated our plans, and I just want to offer an enormous gratitude to Sarah and everyone at the Trust. We've all been working really closely together about how to give a consistent and really thoughtful experience to patrons as they make their way back.
Well, Mariah, over this last year, you and the entire company have done such an incredible job of delivering online content. I know you've reached a vast audience over the last 14 months, but I will certainly say I cannot wait to get back to the O'Reilly to see stage performances in person. So thank you so much for your work.
Yeah.
And Tim.
Good morning, Jared. Good morning, everyone. Just really thrilled to be here today to talk about, I think, a path forward, which I think we've all been excited to talk about. In the past 15 months, it's just there's just been so much uncertainty, and for me, and our clients, that's really been the biggest struggle. You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, and it's really been super hard to plan. And I think this announcement for us, it creates a level of certainty for us to tell our clients, but also for our clients so they can understand what they're working and what the guidelines are. You know, it's really been almost impossible for them to put together an impactful event. So as we move forward, I think this announcement is a really big psychological, but also a practical step forward for us. You know, and our groups are not, I've talked to one group today that literally they're not, they're feeling comfortable at potentially 50%, but this is going to allow them to make that decision and figure out what's right for their group of people. And I think that's hugely important. For our team, you know, it's all about outreach right now. We have actually 50 pieces of business on the books for the remainder of this year. So even with the going from 25% announcement, that was a big move for us. And we've had some groups that are really, really hanging on here during these tough times, and they're excited about putting an event together. Might look a little different this year as we move into the you know, the fall, the summer and the fall. But we have some willing and able people, and you know, I think our industry, and particularly the convention industry, has never been perceived as having more value. You know, think about what we do here. We offer in-person learning, in-person team building. You know, there's a lot of things that happen on site, and these formats are great for connecting, but I don't think it replaces the live experience. So we're excited, and I think our clients are excited to get back to business.
Well, it's truly remarkable, Tim, what you and the team at the Convention Center do to host a variety of events, whether it's basketball tournaments that you hosted over 2 weekends in the month of April. You mentioned that you have the RV show moving in today. That'll be opening up soon, to conventions, the furry conference. Like, there's so many things that you and the team really host at the building successfully. And that's such an important part of our downtown core, certainly to get visitors back. So thank you again for all the work that you and your hardworking team is doing every year. And David, good morning. And again, you've been in Pittsburgh for a little while now, so I can't really say welcome to Pittsburgh because you're certainly part of the family now.
Good morning, Jared. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'm very excited to be part of this panel. Thank you for the opportunity. In regards to the news, we believe that this is very exciting news for the hospitality industry. As we know, the pandemic took a significant toll on our city, and I believe the entire downtown will benefit from this highly anticipated change, as more people will get back to work from the office versus working from home, which will help us to re-energize downtown district. I believe all businesses will benefit, as you know, we can see that the unknown is fading away finally. As we saw, recent research by Destination Analysis showed that almost 50% of those surveyed expect life returns to normal by September of 2021, and 70% expect to take leisure trips in the next 3 months. Our city is definitely moving in the right direction. Again, this is very encouraging news for us, so thank you.
That's excellent, David. I know that it's a challenging time, certainly for hotel operators, people throughout the hospitality community for sure. But I commend you and our fellow hoteliers who are trying to figure out how to increase your staffing, increase all of your services that you provide on weekends where you're very busy, and then you go down to weekdays where business travel just doesn't exist at this moment. So you certainly have some peaks and valleys that you're managing, and it's a trying time, but I commend you for your hard work for sure.
Thank you.
So Sarah, coming back to the Arts Festival, you had mentioned obviously that you're expanding your footprint a little bit. You're going back into Point State Park. You've got some concerts on the weekends. With all of that comes, even though there are restrictions being eased and they'll be removed by the time the Arts Fest happens, how do you still manage to create a safe environment for visitors coming to the Arts Fest and certainly experiencing their time in downtown?
Yeah, that's a great point, Jared. So, the trust from the beginning, from the time of the shutdown, has really operated with a safety first, perspective. That's always been the priority. We didn't want to do anything. We didn't want to offer any programs until we felt like we could keep everyone safe. We could keep our guests safe, our staff safe, our performers safe. Everybody that's part of an event safe. And so we've got a really in-depth handbook, and I will say all of our facilities are going through GBAC certification, which is like the highest level of cleaning that you can do. And our HVAC, I know more about HVAC systems than I ever thought I would need to know. But all of our HVAC systems have been upgraded. So, there won't be many indoor venues at the Arts Festival, but there will be some, like the galleries and the Anthropology of Motherhood, which will be in the lobby of the O'Reilly, actually. So, folks can definitely feel safe going inside any of our venues. Outdoors, we're doing tons of training with all of our staff and our volunteers. All of the staff, the volunteers, the artists, anybody, mobile marketers, anyone on site, the trust is utilizing an app called Clear that you basically go through a health check. So you can download it on your phone. You guys might have seen it at the some airports use it. Pittsburgh Airport uses it. And you answer questions about, your health and if you've been vaccinated, if it's not exclusively if you've been vaccinated, you can come, and if it's not that, but you do have to check off some boxes that you feel healthy, and then you get a green boarding pass. And so our security team will go through that as well. They'll check everybody, so everybody coming to the Arts Festival can feel really safe going into all the artist booths, knowing that everybody has gone through that practice. We will be, asking everyone to wear masks while they're on site, indoors and outdoors. We will have some designated areas where you can eat your food, because I know that's a big thing that people love at the Arts Festival. So we're not taking away your funnel cakes. Please eat your funnel cakes. Just, kind of stay in the spot where you take your mask off, and then clean your hands, put your mask back on, and continue meandering. So yeah, we've done a lot. We're gonna I went through a COVID compliance officer training course, and a number of our staff has, so we will always have a COVID compliance officer on site at all times. Yeah, so I think we've done a good job of addressing all the health and safety, but still making it really fun.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's certainly very evident how much work you've put into making sure that you're prepared to welcome those thousands of people back into the downtown area. It is really exciting. It is really exciting to see that calendar being built out. And I'm sure we can go to to the Trust's website to get more information on the Arts Fest, correct?
Yeah, you bet. It's trustarts.org/TRAF, TRAF. And this is kind of the first place that we're talking about it. The press release hasn't gone out yet, so it hasn't been picked up, but I do think our website has the new information, or if it doesn't yet, it will shortly today.
So you heard it here first.
We did. Breaking news.
And David, as Sarah brings these thousands of people back into the downtown area, certainly they'll be at the Fairmont at some point, maybe on floor 2, having brunch or happy hours, staying in the hotel, hopefully. How do you staff up for that? What are the challenges that you have from a workforce standpoint at this time?
In respect to labor, I think that, like everyone else in the industry, we find it difficult during the last couple of months to recruit people for positions such as housekeeper, cooks, and stewards. But we have a great, action plans from our talent and culture team. And as you know, we have great benefits as well. So I think we overcome those challenges, with great benefits and attracting the right talent.
Is that just a Pittsburgh situation, or are you seeing that in some of the other markets where Fairmont is operating?
I see it actually throughout the country in hospitality industry. It's been a challenge to recruit positions such as housekeeper, cooks, and stewards. When I speak to my peers in different cities such as Chicago and Dallas, they're experiencing exactly the same issues as us.
Yeah, certainly it is a common problem nationwide and probably globally for that matter.
Yeah, that's correct.
And Tim, you were talking a little bit earlier about some of the things that you were optimistic about. You mentioned, I think, over 50 events that we have at the convention center for the rest of the year. You know, we don't want to necessarily outshine the number of people that Sarah brings into downtown from the Arts Fest standpoint, but thousands and thousands of people are coming into the convention center every year, tens of thousands of people. What is coming up in the near term? Obviously, we mentioned the RV show. I mentioned that quickly. What else is on the calendar for the rest of this year that people would be interested in?
Yeah, sure, Jared. Well, we were fortunate to have. Can you hear me, Jared?
Yep.
Okay. You know, we were fortunate to, when we went to 25% capacity, that we worked very closely with your team at Sports Pittsburgh, and we saw some opportunity in that youth sports venue. We are already in April, we hosted two very, very large youth basketball events that attracted over 300 plus teams, almost 10,000 people over the 3-day weekend. So that was great. It was great to see the convention center active, but that's not the end. We've begun to, right now, currently as we speak, our RV show is moving in. We've got a great annual volleyball tournament happening Memorial Day weekend. But then as we move a little further into the summer, we're really excited to get started with that first convention. You know, that's the one that we've got our sights on that, because, you know, that's what we do here. We host conventions and we bring people into for downtown. And for us, we see that as just a great step forward as we work through some of their challenges. We have, as I mentioned, we have 50 plus events that are going to be taking place, and we want to work with those clients because they hung on when things were tough, and they want to have their event. And one thing to note for our convention and trade show clients is they missed last year. This is an important revenue stream for them. They need the revenue. Their associations need the revenue associated with these events. So they want to come and they want to return, and we're super excited by that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when you were talking about the two basketball tournaments that you hosted in April, it seems like there was close to or just over 10,000 people over those 2 weekends who were in the downtown area just for those basketball tournaments alone. RV show and some of the other shows also attract tens of thousands of people over their period. So it's certainly very impactful. I noticed that there's also quite a few clients from a convention standpoint that are now coming into Pittsburgh and planning their events for the rest of this year. A couple of them, of course, as they've gone through the building recently, have seen some construction going on at the convention center. So it sounds like you're taking the opportunity when it's been a bit more quiet to put some capital improvements back into the convention center as well. Is that correct?
That is correct. I think we're really excited about two projects in particular. One, the Confluence is our brand new event studio. We're hearing from our clients that a hybrid event is here to stay. It was part of some of our programs, some of our clients' programs, but we think that's going to be something, and we're hearing from them that's something that they're going to need to work through that challenge of really running simultaneous events. And as we all know, they're not going to be able to. They're going to do it with their same staff. I think we all know that, at least in the short term. So we wanted to make that process easier for them. So we said, hey, how can we solve that? And we built and developed what we're calling the Confluence and Event Studio. And this is not only from the pure technology experience that we provide in the infrastructure. We understand that. We do that great. We've been doing that great for years and years. But we also have the manpower and the personal attention to help them navigate through, the speakers as Jared knows, and Jeremy knows here, this stuff does not happen, and Caitlin, this stuff does not happen without a lot of work. So we're going to offer them solutions to do that. And in addition, we're halfway through a renovation of our rooftop. For us, we've always prided ourselves in being sustainable and having great outdoor space. And we understand when people come to a convention center, it's a learning environment. They're not just looking to the days of being stuck in a dark, dingy meeting room for all day. Those days are over. And our building 20 years ago was built just with so much advancement with all the natural light and all these outdoor space opportunities. And we saw that as potentially an underutilized space for us. So we have done a beautiful job, and we're finishing that over the next basically late spring of next year. We're going to have a huge grand opening. It's greenery spaces, places to do small educational sessions, places to do a huge party for your general session. So we're excited to show everyone that space, and we think it's going to be just the best space that Pittsburgh and the convention industry has to offer.
I totally agree, completely agree. The building is phenomenal. And even as you pointed out, almost 20 years into its life, it still shows as an amazing modern contemporary structure. It's a phenomenal asset in our downtown area. We held our annual meeting, of course, at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center a couple of weeks ago. Tim and the team did a phenomenal job of producing that event. We could have not been more happy with the outcome. Now, we don't produce events like the Public Theater does. Mariah and her team certainly know how to do that. Mariah, Tim just said virtual or hybrid meetings, at least, are here to stay. You obviously did a lot of online virtual content this last year. Is that also here to stay?
Well, last year has been full of surprises, and I would say yes, for sure. Within days of closing last March, we started reading plays weekly online, classic plays. And really quickly, we learned that not only was it giving us a way to sort of buoy our spirits during an uncertain time and stay connected to artists and audiences, but we were attracting an amazing number of viewers. In the first 6 months, we had about 20,000 unique views on those play readings, which were pretty humble, honestly. It was gathering some artists around the table and saying hello to the audience and sort of inviting everybody into the story. What the data showed us there pretty early on is we were reaching new audiences. We were also reaching audiences that, or folks who hadn't been able to attend the theater in a long time for accessibility reasons, who had obstacles, who had moved away. And so we focused this year on using the digital platform as an accessibility platform, really. We went weekly for the first 5 months. That was unsustainable. Like Tim said, it was just our staff. It was like myself and one other person making that happen weekly. But since September, monthly, we've been commissioning local Pittsburgh playwrights to adapt classic stories and reading those monthly. The series has been called Classics in that. Early on, we were able to partner with UPMC senior communities. So while so many of those communities felt very isolated during this time, monthly, we actually were piped in through their closed circuit television systems in these communities, and we're able to connect with them, connect them to Pittsburgh artists, and also give Pittsburgh writers a platform to really reach a wide berth of people. So, I mentioned austerity and innovation have been our guiding values. I think our tagline has been making lemonade out of lemons. And this has certainly been one of the unexpected silver linings of a time that has been, of course, really hard and at times heartbreaking. I will say most regional theaters of Pittsburgh public scope and size have a small second theater, have like a second space or a black box space where they can focus on reaching new audiences, investing in artists, maybe taking risks on programming that is not quite ready or is not the right scale for the main stage. And it seems to me moving forward that the digital space is going to be our second space where we use that as a tool for access and also for artist investment. So, and definitely unexpected, but looking forward to finding out what this, it's been so funny navigating the virtual world, learning Zoom, and now I feel like we're going to be navigating a new hybrid world in so many ways. So looking forward to applying our tools to that.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I think, it's going to be interesting to fast forward a year from now to really kind of see the environment in which we live. And, obviously domestically, we're all very, very fortunate. And I hope we remind ourselves this frequently. We're all very fortunate to live in a country where we have access to vaccines and that things are moving forward in a much, much more progressive way than in really any other country around the world. And there's still a lot of countries, a lot of societies who don't have access to vaccines and probably will not for a long time. So this is a global pandemic. This is something that we need to continue to face as a global human community. So, it's going to be interesting a year from now to kind of see what all of us are doing, certainly in the hybrid space, how we're engaging with our consumers, our audiences, and really trying to make sure that we're providing the best experiences that we possibly can. So, kind of based on all of that, Mariah, and then I'll ask Sarah, and I'm also going to ask Tim and David from their perspectives, from the hotel and the event venue perspective. I want to open up a can of worms. So hopefully you'll allow me to do this. When it comes to requiring vaccinations, so whether it's audiences coming into our theaters or people attending an event, or how a hotel or an event venue might treat people who have been vaccinated opposed to those who have not. There is a lot of conversation going on around that. Certainly, there's been talks certainly with our sports teams about having vaccinated sections of our stadiums. There's been discussions around the world again of having events, whether it's a concert or other performance where only vaccinated people can attend. Mariah, what's your thoughts on having vaccinated only sections at the O'Reilly or having vaccinated only audiences? How do you think we would navigate something like that?
Yeah, well, I'll say, we are working alongside all of our peer organizations in the cultural district and across Pittsburgh to really interrogate these questions about what's responsible, what's thoughtful, what's respectful in terms of those questions. When we talk about vaccination sections, it's so interesting. And I can't wait to go to a game and see how this works. As we've been looking at that and asking those questions at the O'Reilly, what has come back to us is that the O'Reilly, the size of the O'Reilly, that a vaccination section, the sort of efficacy of separating an audience like that would be diminished in a space the size of the O'Reilly. That said, like Sarah had mentioned, I saw David nodding too, we are using technology and we are committed to using technology that is consistent across the organization so that patrons have a consistent experience, that they know what to expect, that they know that they are going to be asked questions, and we're going to make sure everybody's vaccinated or healthy before they enter the venue. Certainly masks are going to be a reality until we know more, until things pivot again. But I mean, it is a can of worms. It is a sticky question. I am heartened that we are having regular weekly and monthly meetings with our peers so that we're answering that question together, rather than sort of coming up with a bunch of different solutions and creating more confusion in an uncertain time as we reopen.
Yeah, if there's anything that we need, it's certainly less confusion. And I feel like we're getting there. I feel like there's a lot more stability kind of in our world in general. Sarah, have you had any conversations around vaccinations, vaccinated only areas, anything along those lines?
Sure. Yeah, we have had a number of those conversations. I think to Mariah's point, in terms of efficacy and the size of our theaters, and we're really, really different than PPG Paints or one of Hinds Field or PNC Park. The Benedum Center is the largest venue that we have, and it's just under 3,000 seats, which is a beautiful old theater and really big for a lot of shows, but it's not 60,000 seat arena. So with that in mind, and also inclusion and accessibility in mind, we decided to move forward with the Clear app. And there's we felt like there was a lot of different ways. We also felt like, we don't know everything about the vaccine. It hasn't even been out a year. We're not entirely certain, we're obviously following science 100, we look to the CDC, we look to all those recommendations, but just knowing that everything is so new, we felt like a more comprehensive approach of giving people the option to have had a negative COVID test and to answer some health questions or to have a vaccination, all of those things, if you're, healthy and feeling good, are going to get you that access to our venues. And we just felt like it was, a little more inclusive, and you weren't kind of, singling people out or creating any sort of like a haves and haves not section, understanding that there are some folks who can't be vaccinated for, a number of other medical reasons and stuff like that. So yes, we've been having the conversation a lot internally at the trust, certainly with all of our partner organizations, with lots of folks around the city. We think that the clear is a really great way to go. And just really quickly before we move off of this, I wanted to just speak to what Tim said about all the folks coming back to the convention center and them sticking through and sticking with you guys. We want to say the same. Sorry about I'm at my parents' 2 blocks from my house doing this because my kids are home on Wednesdays and they have a landline. So sorry about that. Anyway, we couldn't do this in a lot of other cities. I feel like we're so lucky. Pittsburgh has stuck with us. Dollar Bank has stuck with us. Other sponsors have stuck with us. When we had to be all virtual last year, and now that we're going to hybrid and all this pivoting, and allowing us to make these decisions around keeping everybody safe and healthy and kind of trusting us. We really, really appreciate that. And I just want to say that out loud too.
Yeah, it's important. You've got some strong partners who have been with you for a long time, and it's wonderful to see their support of the community. That's, yeah, well noted. Thank you for that. And Tim, obviously from ASM Global's perspective, and if their audience doesn't know, ASM Global is one of the largest, if not the largest, event venue management company around the globe. Here in Pittsburgh, ASM Global manages the David L. Lawrence Convention Center, but also PPG Arena and the Peterson Event Center on the University of Pittsburgh campus. Tim, is ASM Global having conversations around vaccinated sections, vaccinated areas, or limiting access to people who are vaccinated?
Well, Jared, I think from our perspective, I'll talk about the convention center in particular. Sure. It would be, I think, difficult and in some cases counterproductive to have different criteria such as vaccinated and unvaccinated sections in the convention center. The whole nature of a convention center, as we talked about, it's bringing people together. It's letting people, free flow, have conversations, network. Those things are critical to what we're trying to do here, and honestly, what our clients are trying to do. So to try to figure out a way to segregate that would be a challenge. It's interesting. We did a wedding this weekend, and they had bracelets that they offered their guests, and one said, yeah, hugs are welcome. One said, I'm paraphrasing here. One said, I'm kind of in between, and the other said, I'm still a little scared, so I just thought it was a funny way. So maybe, who knows, maybe we'll all be wearing around bracelets, and if we're all having a bad day, we can just put the red one on and say, we don't want to be, don't want to be bothered today. So, but yeah, it's a tough question, but I don't think that works well for the convention center environment.
Yeah, those bracelets are a fun idea. I think there is a place in those for those in society, so it'll be interesting if they catch on. David, I'm just interested in your perspective on the hotel industry. Obviously, has done a lot to protect their guests, their visitors. What is your thought on, from a hotel industry as far as vaccinations? Is there any discussion certainly within Fairmont as far as, is there any concern about having unvaccinated guests or having versus vaccinated guests? Let's listen to your comments if we can, and then we're going to open it back to Caitlin for our public questions.
Okay. Similar to team, we're gonna, as an hotel, it's probably gonna be a very difficult thing for us to implement, and get only vaccinated people or sections in the hotel. As we know, as a company, Accor developed a very comprehensive safety program called All Safe, which include detailed safety protocols such as temperature check at the entrance of the hotel, by safety ambassador, as well elevated cleaning and sanitation practices to our guests in guest rooms and public areas. As an hotel, we'll continue to monitor and follow current CDC and our corporate COVID-19 guidelines, but as everybody else said, it's going to be very difficult to implement from an hotel perspective, a section for vaccinated versus non-vaccinated. But I personally anticipate that we'll slowly see a relaxed approach for our industry once we see a higher percentage of vaccinated people in the city and in the country.
Yeah, fair point. I think there's a lot that the hotel industry, as you've rightfully said, has done over the last 14 months to really make sure that they create a safe and healthy environment. And I personally have seen all the work that your team is doing at the Fairmont. Phenomenal work. Honestly, I feel like there is a very healthy, safe environment that you've created there. So kudos to you and your team, David.
Thank you, Jared.
Caitlin, so what do we have for questions from the audience?
All right. Well, thank you, Jared, and thank you all to our amazing panelists for your expert insights here. It was extremely interesting to hear your take on your outlook for moving forward and, all of the plans that you've implemented to just, keep everyone safe and, keep events happening and keeping downtown vibrant. So thank you for that. Yes, we have a couple questions in the chat from our attendees. So I'm going to take this one submitted. The question is, what is the future of theatrical productions and stage shows looking like in the cultural district and even at PPG Paints in Hinds Field? So I know, Mariah, you talked a little bit about, yes, your plans and everything. Anything else to add to this for this question?
Well, sure. The future of theatrical productions and stage shows is they are going to be extraordinary. I have to say, all the artists that I know, they have pent up creative energy and dozens of ideas to sort of activate as soon as we can release the gates and open the doors to audiences. I will say, like I mentioned earlier, we are working really closely with our unions, our actors union, our directors, our choreographers. Our IATSE union has been very responsive to make sure that we are keeping our staff, our artists safe, as well as our audiences in that time. But they've been really responsive. So I think that honestly, I think it's going to be like ringing the dinner bell. I think that anybody who loves theater, we're going to have something really wonderful and tasty to start. And I know that's true of the Trust and the Broadway series as well. And the CLO, just to tout our neighbors, is doing some amazing work at Hinds Field this summer. So I actually think that stage productions are going to be bursting with creative energy, that they're going to be sort of undeniable when we're back.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Mariah, for that. I appreciate it. Anything else to add on that question?
I would just echo everything that Mariah said. And I think it's, really exciting actually right now, all this creative energy. I think we're going to see a lot more outdoor performances. Our friends at the ballet have that great new outdoor stage that, they're starting their open air series. And I think, we're getting lots of proposals for different, sort of interactive outdoor theatrical experiences. So I think, artists are so creative. I think a lot of people, took 2020 to really think about new ways to experience theater. So I think, definitely that theater that you know and love, and coming to the O'Reilly or the Benedum and the Byam and sitting down in your seat and watching a fantastic show. Yes, we will absolutely get back to that. But I think there's going to be new and fun, interesting stuff too. So keep an eye out.
Excellent. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, another question. This question is for David. So how are private event bookings looking like at the Fairmont? How are they shaping up for 2021 and beyond. And, you know, going back to what our other panelists said, you know, having their clients kind of, you know, stick with them, you know, through 2020 and, you know, rebook their canceled events. Are you seeing that happen with private event bookings at the Fairmont, David?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. So I'm happy to share that events are slowly coming back. As an example, it was great to host a wedding for 120 people last Saturday in our ballroom. And 2021 overall is projected to be the highest wedding year for the hotel. So that's in respect to weddings, but yes, we have bookings from September onwards for groups and events that are coming back that canceled in 2020 and we booked in 2021. And a lot of new business. I believe there's a lot of pent-up demand out there for events.
Thank you, David. Thank you. That was great. And I'm going to take another question here submitted from an attendee. And this, I can throw this out to anyone, Jared or panelists, if you want to chime in on this one, please feel free. So going forward, what are your plans to attract people and patrons to Pittsburgh in cultural and sports tourism?
Yeah, I can jump in on that, Caitlin. So 2 weeks ago now, we launched our most recent campaign, which is Only in Pittsburgh. And what that campaign does really is highlights all of those experiences that you can only get in Pittsburgh. That will go out to our digital, through a digital campaign within a 4-hour drive radius of Pittsburgh, trying to make sure that we get those consumers who are just literally in our backyard to come into Pittsburgh and Allegheny County and really take advantage of everything that we have to offer, including all of the wonderful festivals and events that are going on over the summer. Obviously, the Three Rivers Arts Festival is going to kick us off, but then we've got the Black Music Festival, we've got the Vintage Grand Prix going on later on, all of the things that are going on within our cultural district, including the ballet that we were talking about, the CLO and others. There's so many things that are unique experiences that individuals can have here in Pittsburgh that we're trying to get that word out. But even beyond that, trying to get consumers to come in and stay in our hotels, eat at our amazing restaurants. And even though our restaurant industry has been decimated, as we know, over the last 14 months, there is still an impressive amount of new restaurants that are coming into our market, even in the downtown area, but across the county. We've got a lot of new restaurants, distilleries, breweries that are doing some really interesting things, some new concepts. So we want to make sure we get that word out as well. All of the work that's going on at the Phipps, at the Carnegie Museums, at the Gateway Clipper Fleet, and some really other cool things that are coming into the market, I think are going to be really fun experiences for people to take advantage of. So we launched the Only in Pittsburgh campaign. We're going to continue to keep pushing that out. And it's really about getting those visitors in our drive market to come back first, and then eventually working with the airport to market Pittsburgh to our domestic and eventually our international flight markets to get those consumers coming back as well.
Thanks, Jared. That really covered it well. And I particularly enjoyed the Only in Pittsburgh campaign video too that you shared at Visit Pittsburgh's annual meeting. It was excellent. So very, very well done. Okay, so we have just 2 minutes left. I'm going to kick it back. Any final thoughts from our panelists before we conclude today's session?
Honestly, just a lot of gratitude for this conversation. In some ways, I feel like these panels are kicking off our return across the industry, across downtown. So really glad to be here and inspired by yesterday's panel and also hearing what everybody's working on today. Looking forward.
If I can say something as well. So I've been in the city for the last 10 months. I arrived in August of 2020, but from everything that I've seen about the people of the city, I think we are poised to win and build back a stronger and better downtown than ever. So I'm looking forward for that.
Thanks, David. This is Tim. I 100% agree with that. I think there's so much strength in our community, and people are excited to get back to work and really showcase this great city that I know we all love.
That's great. Well, thank you all so much. Oh, yep. Go ahead, Sarah. Did you have
Oh,
something?
I would just echo what everyone says. And I'm so excited, David, for you to attend your first Dollar Bank Three Rivers Arts Festival. It's the unofficial kickoff to summer in Pittsburgh. So we can't wait. I can't wait to see you in person.
Looking forward for that, Sarah. Thank you.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, that takes us to the end here. So thank you all so much for your insights. And thank you greatly to Jared for moderating this session. You did an awesome job, and we very much appreciate it. And we're grateful to all of our panelists for your time and insight. So thank you to Sarah, Mariah, Tim, and David. And thanks for all of our attendees for tuning in today. You can review the 2021 State of Downtown Pittsburgh report online at our website at downtownpittsburgh.com. This session was also recorded and will be available at the end of the day today if you wish to review again or to share with your colleagues. And we'll also throw a link in the chat where you can find that as well. Finally, we invite you to join us again when our 2021 State of Downtown Pittsburgh Reforge Edition virtual conference series continues. Today, we have 2 more sessions remaining, one on public safety in vulnerable populations, which will kick off this morning at 10 a.m., just following the session. And then we'll close out the series with a longer session today at noon called Digging into Downtown Development, where we will feature a series of special project presentations from 10 different downtown development leaders. So to register for these awesome events, if you haven't done so already, you can do so by going to downtownpittsburgh.com. All right.